I knew that gay bars existed, but once you go to them for the first time and see the community and see the people enjoying themselves, seeing that there's other people like you and that there's like this mecca where they go, it was just an intense feeling for me. And that has influenced my art and all that I've created.
Welcome back to Art in the Raw. I'm your host, David Smith. There's something electric about watching someone discover their truth for the first time. That moment when the lights hit differently, when a space that seemed foreign suddenly feels like home, when you realize you're not alone. Joe Boatfield paints those moments. This Dallas-based artist captures the contradictions of queer nightlife, the neon brightness against heavy shadows, the promise of acceptance alongside the sting of judgment, the joy and vulnerability of being seen in spaces that are both sanctuary and stage. But Joe's story is about more than bars and disco balls. It's also about transformation. From a kid in suburban Dallas with a GPA of 1 who was, quote, just hanging out with the boys, to an art teacher who graduated college with a 4.0 and now inspires both his elementary students and fellow educators to create authentically. His paintings, done in oil with that deliberate impressionist rush, put you in the position of the observer. You're reading the room, feeling that familiar tension we all know. Is this safe? Am I welcome here? Who's watching me watch them? What fascinates me about Joe's work is how he refuses to sugarcoat our community. He paints the contradictions, rainbow flags that promise acceptance while Grindr profiles demand no fats, no films. The spaces that invite you in, but sometimes sting you once you're there. And maybe that's exactly the mirror we need right now. Not the polished version of queer life, but the complicated, beautiful, shadowy, electric reality of all of it. This is Art in the Raw. Okay, Joe Boatfield, thanks for joining us on Art in the Raw.
I'm so excited.
Happy to have you on here. We've known each other personally for a little while through kind of the local Dallas art scene. So I'm excited to finally get you on the show and talk to you about your art and your creativity.
Of course, you're one of my favorite people.
Share with the audience like a moment or an experience when you were younger, like when you first realized that art was a way that you were going to be able to express yourself and especially expressing your queer identity.
Interesting. Okay. So I, like probably many other artists, it's in my blood. I don't remember a time when I wasn't making art. But I do remember the time when I decided, when I knew that this was what I'm going to do. I'm going to do something in arts. So when I was in high school, I was not doing well in my classes. I was not doing my homework. I was just hanging out with boys. And I really didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. And then I met an art teacher who was amazing, Ms. Bellevue, and I used to shout her out all the time. Me and her are still like best friends.
That's awesome.
It was funny. When we would go on field trips, we would play the Grindr game, where I would go on Grindr, and then if we saw the person in person, we would get 10 points. So me and my teacher were playing that game.
I think that's hysterical, and I may have to leave it in because it's funny.
Fine, keep it in. Okay.
Also, what's really irritating is that Grindr was around when you were in high school.
Yeah, and then what did it become? Hornet, and then what's the one right now? Snuffle, Sniffies. Who knows? There's
too many of them.
Yeah. But yeah, so just an amazing person, ally, and she was the first person who said, Joseph, because I went by Joseph at the time, I go by Joe now, but Joseph, like, you really have a talent, like you should do something with art. And that was the first time someone said it to me, but I actually believed them because I knew I was good at art, but all the information, all the programming around me was that art was not a viable career, that you couldn't do anything with it. It was more of a hobby. And then it just kind of clicked for me that, I love art. I love being in the art room. I'm going to be an art teacher. And I just slowly found that it was my passion, and it was the best choice I've ever made was to go to school and become an art teacher.
That's awesome. So she was like one of the early influencers to kind of help encourage you to live that dream.
Absolutely.
And you guys still keep in touch?
Yeah, we just got I just went to the bar down in Denton with her.
Oh, that's nice. Where did you go to high school? Was it? And I know it was in the Dallas area, but
So
which you didn't have to name the exact school if you don't want to. But.
I went to Marcus High School in Flower Mound. Flower
Okay.
Mound was just a joy of a town. I don't know if you
Very
grew
suburban
up there.
Dallas. Yep. Um. So after you had that conversation with her and she encouraged you to do something with it, you decided that you wanted to be an art teacher. What were your next steps? How did you figure out what your journey to become an art teacher was going to be like?
So number one, I started doing my homework again. Because I had a GPA of like, I'm not even joking, probably like a 1. It was
Oh,
bad. But
you
no,
were
I got
not doing
my
your
I got
homework.
my shit together. I started really paying attention in my classes because I knew I wanted to go to college, university. Now, I truly did not have a plan before I
Hmm.
met this woman. But I knew what I wanted to do now. Um, and eventually I got into the University of North Texas and got my degree in art education. And it's just a really cool story because I went from a GPA of 1 in high school. And then when I graduated, I actually graduated with a 4.0. And then I got the UNT Honor Award, which is like one person per department. So I got it for the art education department,
That's
which is really
awesome.
cool. Like, I mean, like she she'll never understand the transformation that she had on me just by saying, you know what, I believe in you. I see something in you. But it was the first time someone told me that and I believed it in myself.
Well, hopefully she'll listen to this episode and she'll learn how much influence she had on you becoming the person you become today.
Hmm.
Um, Back in high school, I can't imagine you were expressing your gay side very much, your queer side with your art influence, or were you? And when did you think that your art started really reflecting your queer side?
Hmm. So as far as I can remember, my high school stuff had to do with like religion and rebelling against religion. I'm very blessed. Although I grew up in a really conservative town with a lot of conservative people, I have a really open, accepting family, and I never had to deal with any of that bull, that a lot of people have to deal with. And I'm so sorry to people like that, but it just wasn't like that for me. Um, but I started creating more queer art once I went out and went to the gay bars of Dallas for the first time. So if I had to paint the story for you, I grew up in a conservative town where, people it was I still remember even someone saying like just very casual, like, my mom says you're going to go to hell after,
Oh,
after it came out.
wow.
Things like that where it's just very like, oh well, if you're not with the church or Christianity, like how, like that just doesn't make sense. How could you not be? Like it's just not part of the equation that you can be other. And so I didn't even realize I knew that gay bars existed, but once you go to them for the first time and see the community and see the people enjoying themselves, seeing that there's other people like you and that there's like this mecca where they go, it was just an intense feeling for me. And that has influenced my art and all that I've created because I think what's interesting about the gay community, gay bars, all the spaces that we've created is that we create these awesome spaces that are welcoming. We say they're safe, that you'll be accepted here. But then there's this kind of like opposite feeling as an outsider going in,
Hmm.
because at the same time, you know, bars can be a little bit dangerous too. So it's not always safe. And I'm just being honest, but in some gay circles that they can be very judgmental. It's not always
Oh, yeah.
welcoming. So it's just
Oh,
kind
yeah.
of this contradiction that I felt at times going in, but it's just so hypnotizing. The lights, the drinks, the community, it
Hmm.
invites you in, but sometimes it can kind of sting you when you realize that there's this maybe a shadowy side to the gay culture and all communities really. But
Yeah.
I just think it's really interesting with the gay community. We put up the rainbow flag, like, come in, we love you, you're accepted. But then, you get on Grinder and someone's like, no fats, no femmes. Well, we
Yeah.
just have issues as a community sometimes, and that's what my art's all about.
How do you portray that in your art? Because I've seen some of the art that you've made of some bar scenes, and I see that there's kind of that dichotomy of the darkness of the bar, but the brightness of the lights. Is that how you're portraying that dichotomy, or how do you represent that in your art?
Yep, that's it. So there's a lot of like heavy blacks, and then there's these like neon colors, bright lights. And so the painting, I hope it for the viewer, it's kind of like the perspective of someone just kind of watching. You're the observer, because
Mm-hmm.
we were all the observer at one point, especially me going to my first gay bar and having that experience. As queer people, we're always kind of reading the room. Like,
Mm-hmm.
is this going to be a safe space here? And is this going to be okay? I want to capture that feeling of just kind of watching.
Mm-hmm.
Um, at a gay bar, you feel accepted, you feel invited, but there's also probably some bad actors in the room, some creeps. I want to
Yep.
capture that energy too, that darkness
Mm-hmm.
of being watched a little bit. But yeah, you hit up the nail on the head on that one. It's the color that I want to share the
So it's a deliberate thing that you put into your art to
yes.
showcase that.
Yeah.
Was there a particular uh, artwork or project that really kind of sparked that idea in you, that that's what you wanted to portray in your art? Was that dichotomy?
It kinda naturally happened. I don't know if there was, like, a single moment where I thought, like, "Ooh, like, I got it," and I'm still trying to figure this out. I've only been painting for like, and making this series for maybe 4 or 5 years, and it's because I'm a teacher and I have no time for myself or art. It's my time for art is very little.
Mm-hmm.
I would say the coolest project that I'm working on right now is my friend, I have another friend, David, who gave me his photos from the 80s. And there's one behind me. I know people who are listening can't see it, but it's a vintage from what is now the S4, but it was Village Station.
Mm-hmm.
And it shows people drinking. There's two guys kissing. There's one guy kind of looking over, watching the room. And when I looked through these photos that David showed me, it just kind of, I almost saw a little bit of our community now. It kind of brought me, I thought of all the times I've had, the loves lost, uh, the great experiences, the low times. I was like, oh, you know what? I'm not alone. There's been generations of people before me. There's also this kind of solemnness I had to these photos because I know they're from the 80s and I know
Mm-hmm.
that some of these faces might not be around anymore. So there's that. So that was a really powerful couple pieces. And I want to make more from his images, but that one really was, it was moving to me, finding these images and seeing these faces that were almost like they felt like friends a little bit, just like people I knew, like they could be anyone from our community.
I know friends of mine who are old enough to remember those moments in those bars back then in the 80s, have looked at some of your art and have mentioned how that just kind of, just looking at the photo and your art just brings that feeling back to them from those days, when they were going there, of the joy that they had,
I
and the
sold
sadness
one.
that they feel with losing those friends.
Aw, I sold one at the Eagle, when I was doing bending, and this couple, they looked at it, and that's what they were saying. They're saying, "Oh, we could have been there," and they kept
Mm,
looking at it. They came back. They looked at it again. And I could just tell that they were really connecting with this. And I love when people come up, they tell me stories. They tell me about, oh, I was there, and they tell me, a crazy night that they've had. It's just so fascinating. Number one, Dallas has a really cool gay history,
mhm.
especially with the bars. There's a really good article, if anyone wants to look it up, called "Lords of an Underground Empire" about the bars of Oaklawn and how people have tried to burn them down, and then they rebuilt, and then
Yep.
they've got burned down again. Like, it's a really crazy history. But when that couple bought it, it meant the world to me. Just the fact that they connected to it and they saw basically the same thing I saw.
Yep.
That I saw people connection, I saw community, I saw the humanity, really.
Do you see in those older photos that you paint uh, and in the faces that you're painting from those older photos, a change or continuity in what you mentioned earlier around the darkness, that dichotomy in the bars? Does it look like it's gotten better or still the same?
I'll tell you what I don't see. I don't see phones in anyone's hand.
Yep.
I see everyone being present. Even the creepers in the background I paint, they're still present. Continue continuity. I still feel joy. I still feel like there's joy, especially right now with everything going on politically. I still feel like we have a place to connect, to meet each other, but also it's a little bit of an escape as well. Because
Hmm.
in this room, in this space, um, all that other stuff that's going on in the world kind of doesn't matter. Because right in here, we all understand each other. We're all kind of one in this space. We all understand. And so I would say there's still that joy in the gay bars of Dallas today.
I think you're right. How do you balance that tension between um, the kind of the dark side, but yet also try to show that joy in your work?
Yeah, that's a really good question because there's so many beautiful things about our community, and I'm not trying to be critical. It's actually more of just an honest feeling, honest perspective of what I encountered. Just growing up around really conservative people, and then going into something so overwhelming to the senses for me. I think I think it's all about boundaries for a person. I think in any space there's going to be dangers. I think for every dark side or every shadow that we have in the gay community, there's probably a reason for it. Um, One that I can think of is, we're all about, body positivity, being diverse. We'll accept you.
Hmm.
But if you go to a circuit party, I
Yeah.
think you'll probably see the same body over and over again. And I think most
Yep.
people would agree. So, that's another like, oh, contradiction to me. But I think that probably comes from 80s and 90s and, wanting to show the public that we're healthy individuals and that we're not sick. And so there's probably some history attached to that. There's probably a reason why we have the shadow that we're still breaking down to this day.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a very deep insight into that. And I've heard that theory before as to why an Adonis body is so revered
So
in
treasured.
our community is kind of some of. I think there was a lot of that before the AIDS epidemic, but I think it
Yeah.
really kind of solidified it um, as a way to show that you are healthy and happy. A lot of artists and guests that I've interviewed have talked about how there's a vulnerability in their art. Um, do you think that there's a vulnerability in your art and in the way you paint?
Mm.
And if so, how do you think you portray it?
I hope that they can step into being the watcher, being the observer, and feel a little bit, I don't know if scared is the right word, maybe on edge.
Hmm.
Um, when you do go to a gay bar or even like a leather bar, it is kind of scary. There's guys walking around with leather and it's so foreign from what you're used to. I hope that they can put themselves in my shoes for a second and go to that first experience I had and see how kind of odd it might be for someone who's so not used to this environment at all, just to be overwhelmed every possible sense with this kind of hypnotizing environment where it looks so fun, it looks so incredible, but it's also so strange and it kind of feels a little dangerous. But that's the fun part about it. So I hope they see that vulnerability, that there's a little bit of fear. There's a little bit of I don't know if that's the right word. Maybe you can think of one that's better. Apprehension.
Anxiety,
There's a little bit of
apprehension.
apprehension. Yeah.
I could see that. Want to strip down and connect with a community that celebrates real bodies, real stories, and unforgettable adventures? Check out Go Naked Magazine, a bold, body positive magazine for gay male nudists. And if you're ready to turn the page and travel, Go Naked Travels curates incredible clothing optional getaways around the world. Think sun, skin, and seriously good vibes. Subscribe today at gonakedmagazine.com and gonakedtravels.com. Um, Switching gears a little bit, how do you think your role as an art educator has influenced your artistic practice, or has it been vice versa?
So, I hope that my sharing my art inspires other art teachers to be more authentic with their art too. We're eh, I'm very lucky that I'm in a district that loves, accepts who I am. I even had some of my art in the district staff art show that was very gay, and that was amazing for it to be in Texas and
Wow, awesome.
in a teacher art show. And the superintendent came by and was like, meh, like didn't really care. So I'm in a really good place.
Hmm.
Um, but I think that there's still a lot of hesitation for other art teachers out there to share maybe something that's a little bit more controversial, maybe something more explicit, out of fear of a reaction from parents, which doesn't happen very often. It's happened a couple times because there's just simply people out there who just don't understand what we do, and that my art and my personal life never ever crosses over with what I do at school, and they can't seem to separate the two. Um, But I've had a couple art teachers say, like, "It's so cool, like, I think you're so brave, like, I wanna start, making the art that I wanna make. I don't wanna just paint flowers," or whatever it is. Um, but that's what I hope, um, I get more, like, DMs like that, people inspired by what I'm willing to post and daring to put out there.
I hope you're right. I hope more artists feel like art is art can be subversive, but it can also be inspiring. And it doesn't always have to be safe
Mhm.
to
And it
be
should
art.
make you feel safe. It
Yeah.
should make you question things. I feel like, especially our teachers, we're artists first, and then we just happen to be artists who teach art.
Hmm.
And we tell our students all the time, like, be authentic, make the art that you like really feel and want to express and share it with the world. But are we willing to actually say that to ourselves? Um, I think sometimes we actually block ourselves off and put our sensors on, um, because of the political climate, because of the fear, a lot of maybe the shame, the programming that we've witnessed, and I really hope that that can go away soon.
Yeah, me too. Um, have there been moments when you kind of felt misunderstood or isolated as a queer artist in the art teaching community, or even in the general art community?
Have I ever felt isolated, misunderstood? It doesn't happen very often, but for instance, I've had, David, you're very well versed in art, and hopefully everyone listening is, but you know what a color wheel is, right?
Yep.
Um, I remember I had a parent who went to the superintendent because I had a pride flag in my classroom, and when they
Oh,
looked, it was simply a
it was a
color
color
wheel.
wheel.
So I think uh, I think people there's still some out there who cannot take. They feel that a queer individual there must be something uh, that they shouldn't be around children still, or that they're indoctrinating. I think that there's obviously still a lot of that. There's a lot of anti-teacherness going around. There's a lot of book bans right now. I think to be a gay teacher can be misunderstood by people. Um, it doesn't happen very often, but when it does sting because I know that person is just they. I want to talk to them so bad. I want to show them that I'm a human too, and that I'm not the boogeyman that you think I am.
I don't think you're the boogeyman either. How, how do you feel that, or how do you think that uh, queer teachers can break some of that through their art?
Mm. Obviously, make more of it. It's so important to share. It's like a tree falls in the middle of a forest. Does anyone hear it? It's like if you
Hmm.
make art but you don't share it, did you really make it? Um, I'm really I really want to push people to share, even if it's just a
Yes.
sketch, even if it's not your best work. Say that in the caption. Just share it with the world because there's no point in hiding your art just for you and then it's found in an attic after you die. Share it now while it's relevant. Like I said, I think that there's probably a lot of teachers, professionals out there that are afraid to share their artwork because they might be misunderstood. Um, I think only in 2020 was it in Texas that I mean they protected gays from being fired for being gay. So it really wasn't that long ago. Like I
No, it
mean,
wasn't.
it's still fresh. It still feels a little too real. So I get it. I get the fear, and that might be a hard conversation to have with someone. But all I can say is just keep sharing, keep making.
How do you maintain your resilience and hope um, through all these difficult and painful aspects that we've been talking about?
I think you know me well enough. I just laugh everything off. I think everything's funny, even probably when it should be really sad. Um, I think um, it just. the- I think if we never laughed at even the hardest things, we would never get through them. I have to laugh off all the horrible experiences I've had too, and I have to laugh off crazy parents because that's all it is. It's just another funny moment. I'm gonna laugh about it later. I'm just gonna laugh about it now.
I think sometimes those types of dark time moments in our history has been when the best art and
Mm,
the best writing, the best comedy uh, has ever been created.
absolutely.
Um, can you share maybe a story with us about a time when maybe your art helped you or others heal or find community like it's helped you?
Hmm. I mean, I think of that couple that just fell in love with my painting at the Eagle, and I remember them showing like people as they were like exiting, like, look what I just bought, like, and they were like showing like and pointing at it. I was trying to be all cool, like, "Oh, yes, thank you so much." But I really wanted to say, like, "Tell me all about your life. Tell me everything.
Hmm.
I'm so honored that you even buy my art." But I was just trying to be so cool that I didn't overreact. That was just an amazing little moment. I'm trying to think if there's any
Well, what
other
about
moments.
like in your own class? I'm not sure what grade you teach. I think it's kind of elementary.
Yes, I teach
Um,
kindergarten through 5th grade.
so have you found that there are students that you see that little spark,
Oh, yeah.
that little boy's going to turn out to be a gay boy,
Oh, yeah.
and you see it in the art he creates? Do you, and if you do, can you encourage that?
I see a lot of little mini me's out there.
Hmm.
Some ones I can think of are is that boy who kinda draws by himself, and I see him drawing, like, dresses, and I ask him, "What are you drawing?" They kinda cover it up like, "Oh, it's my mom." But I know it's not your mom. I know you're just drawing dresses.
Yeah.
Eventually, we got to the point with that boy, I was like, "Alright, I wanna feed into this because 'cause you're really good at drawing your mom." And so I gave him one of those, wooden mannequins
Uh-huh.
and, what do you call it? Not wrapping paper, but, tissue paper, like the colored tissue paper, and I was like, "I want you to do something interesting. I want you to take this tape and some staples, and I want you to wrap this tissue paper around this mannequin and make, like, a beautiful dress." And his eyes, like, lit up like, "Oh, you get it. Like, I you understand what I'm really trying to do here." And he would just do that over and over and over again, just wrap the mannequin, make all these beautiful gowns, um But there's lots of, even though most children don't necessarily have that understanding of themselves quite yet. They may have like a little inkling, and it's not for me to judge and decide who they are yet. But I've had trans students as young as second grade. Like it does happen, and I wish more lawmakers would see that and interact with a trans student in second grade, and I look at them and I'm around them for years, and I think to myself, I would never ever think that you were a girl. You are a boy. Like I don't care what anyone says. You were born a boy. This is a boy I'm talking to, and there's no way I can program an 8-year old to act this way. This is authentically you. It's amazing to see that, um, and have this awesome individual in the classroom. I wish more people could appreciate that there are students out there like this. But yeah, they're there.
I think it's kind of beautiful in a way that children are some of the most authentic to themselves people because they haven't quite yet learned. They're at that stage where that by the time they get to you, kindergarten through fifth, that they're learning how to hide it, but you still see little bits and pieces of them trying to be their authentic selves come out. And we spend the rest of our lives as adults
Trying to
trying
get
to
back to
figure
our
out how to
authentic child
unlearn
self. Yeah.
all that stuff about ourselves. So looking ahead, what themes or stories do you hope to explore next in your art?
David, maybe you can help me with this. So I I want to keep evolving my art.
Hmm.
I still like gay bars. I'm still investigating what I'm thinking about and trying to I like contradictions. I like these opposites, dark and light, but I'm wondering how in the future, whenever I get time, who knows if that'll ever be again, to when I make art, like how it can be less literal. I feel like my paintings are very literal. Like it's just like I take the photo and then I paint it. Although
Hmm.
I paint it in like almost kind of impressionist. I want it to look, hypnotizing. Like it's very kind of almost looks kind of rushed, maybe even undone a little bit.
Yeah.
But I want to be less literal in the future. Like um, if for instance, if an artist is talking about uh, alcohol or drinking, maybe it's just a broken bottle. They painted a broken bottle. That's all the metaphor had to be, right? It didn't have to be so literal. The audience can take a hint. I'm wondering how I can make my art less literal.
Well, I'm sure that we could work together and figure ways out to do that. Um, well, I would love to help you any way that I could. Um, I thought maybe you might have been implying that you were looking to do something more abstract, but I like the metaphor approach as well.
I could see abstraction. Yeah, I just need to feel like I need to go to the Himalayas and do some like deep thinking, like a temple somewhere, figure it out. But no, I want to evolve it. I want to figure it out, but I'll get there.
What advice would you give to queer artists who are just beginning to find their voice?
Hmm. So when I was at UNT and I was finishing up my degree, and I couldn't remember the professor, but it was just the topic of what do you do? What do you focus on? Like, how do you create a series? You want something cohesive. You want that breadth of work, and the answer that she gave was just so simple. Like create about what you know. And I know that's like so simple, but like, what do I know about? What do I think about? I know that experience was just life changing for me going to the gay bars, and I know might sound very random to some people, but it meant so much to me that made me create a series of work. So I would just say, if you don't know what to create, if there's nothing like that's sparking you right now, like what is it that you really know about that no one else um can really connect to just yet, that you could really take a little slice of and just share with the world? What do you know?
Um, how do you um, how do you encourage your students to find their artistic um, side and to express it?
Well, I've only done elementary and I've also done a little bit of preschool. I really, as much as I appreciate all levels of artists, I cannot deal with like sass back and attitude. So I stay far away from middle school and high school because at least in elementary school, they're sweet for the most part. So I really, my goal in what I'm all about as an art teacher is showing them that creativity is everywhere because they're eventually going to ask the question like, why do I have to take art if I'm not interested in being an artist? Well, do you want to be a doctor? Well, guess what? You're going to have to draw muscles and bones when you get there. Oh, did you drive to school today? Did you know someone had to draw out the plan for that road? Did you know this building was designed by an architect? Creativity is everywhere. It's a valuable skill. If you and the next person apply for a job and you have the same skills, the same attitude, everything, they're probably going to choose the one who can problem solve, creative think, right? The creativity is such a valuable skill. So that's what I'm all about. You'll see in my classroom like lots of little engineering projects. You'll of course see like, the fine art, but it's a lot of meta cognizant thinking, like thinking about thinking. How can we creatively problem solve um, different problems and challenges and whatnot?
Yeah. Yeah, I see that myself in my own career where I kind of I'm in tech, but I see even though tech is very much binary ones and zeros about a lot of things, there can be a creative aspect to how you go about solving those problems.
Oh, absolutely.
Um, so you're absolutely right.
Yeah, and they don't have to
Um,
be separate, you
and they
know?
don't, and they shouldn't be. Um, wh- what do you hope that your work how do you hope your work contributes to a broader conversation about queer identity and community?
Hmm. Well, I hope that when people hear me talking about it, it doesn't come across as too judgmental, too critical. Because I think you know me, David, that I just I love our community and I love going out to these places. It's definitely not um, critical. I would say it's I hope it's a mirror
Hmm.
to ourselves. I think with any community, any situation, it's always good to look at it from a different perspective. And it might be a perspective that you've already seen, like a gay bar. Seeing both the positive and the negative. Sometimes we like to sugarcoat everything in our community, right? That everything's positive and pride flag and welcoming and beautiful. But there's some things going on. Uh, well, it's not necessarily always negative, but uh, hookup culture, maybe there's drug use. There's some things that are shadowy about our community, and I hope that this is a mirror, just so that we can deal with it, just so that we can observe it.
Um, so let's dig into the my favorite part of the episode, which is the lightning round. These 10 questions are based on the 10 questions made famous in Inside the Actor Studio, but I've added a little bit of an artistic twist to them. Um, so I'm looking forward to the insight it brings into Joe Boatfield. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right. What's your favorite artistic medium or tool?
Always has been oil paint.
Painting.
Absolutely.
What artistic trend or cliche do you wish would disappear?
um. How do I say this? I think AI is an amazing tool when it's used as a tool for art, and it's not uh the final image. I think you and I could have a whole nother podcast on how I feel about
We should.
and just creating a prompt, printing it out, and selling it right then and there. I think that maybe that needs to go away.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. What fuels your creativity the most?
Mm, a fun night out, dance music, a disco ball.
More of that bar theme.
Yeah, yeah.
What sound or noise instantly inspires you? Disco?
But yeah, a good dance beat, EDM.
What sound or noise completely kills your focus?
Ooh. Hmm. Maybe silence. I feel like I need something going on.
Hmm. What is your favorite word or phrase to include in your work, literally or metaphorically?
Favorite word. Opposites, contradictions, um, juxtaposition, any of those
Yeah,
words.
I can see that. Uh, if you could see any queer artist, living or dead, honored with a major public monument, who would it be?
Hmm. Does Tom of Finland have like a spot? I'm sure he does. There's probably something for him somewhere.
He's probably got a few things. He's got a whole foundation.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, he's doing all right
He's
being
doing
dead.
okay in death. Yeah,
Well, I would give something to him. Maybe oh, David LaChapelle.
I love his photography.
Oh yeah. It's so especially his early stuff, not all the magazine like when he does stuff for himself, it's so deep and cool.
Yeah, yeah. He doesn't take a photo; he makes a photo.
Yeah.
What is one profession or creative field you could never see yourself in, other than high school teacher?
I've done a lot. I've been a retail manager at a grocery store. I did makeup at Ulta. Um, I've done preschool. I've done a little bit of everything. Anything that where I can't be walking around. I have to be on my feet. And
Yeah,
that's probably like
no
most people would
desk
be like,
jobs.
"What?" But no,
No
I
desk
have to
jobs for
be
Joe.
moving.
If your art could take on a life of its own, what form would it take?
It would be a guy who goes to the Eagle multiple times a week. Oh no, it's me. I
Oso?
don't know. It would be a really fun guy who loves dance music, who likes to watch the room, loves to people watch, and dance to dance music.
And then finally, 100 years from now, what do you hope your art says about you to those who find it in the future?
Oh gosh, my art is found 100 years from now. Uh, wow, Grandpa was into some weird stuff. I don't know what it was.
He liked to go to bars.
I don't know. I hope that they see a little slice of life, just like I see my vintage photos from David, and I see faces of people that have maybe come and gone, and I see their story just from their face. I hope that people see that. I hope that they see that I captured I captured a moment, at least in my lifetime.
Yeah, I do too. I love looking at your art. I love doing art together with you. We've done a few drink and draws at the Eagle together,
Yes,
and some other art events, and I just really enjoy seeing the art you create. And so I really appreciate you coming on the show and talking to us about your art. I look forward to spending more time with you.
absolutely. I feel so honored.
All right, Joe. Take care.
See ya.